If you're on Medicare or about to turn 65, there are 9 major changes happening in 2026 that could cost you thousands of dollars if you don't know about them. And I'm not talking about small tweaks. I'm talking about premium increases, coverage shakeups, and rule changes that are going to hit your wallet hard. So here are the 9 Medicare changes you absolutely need to know right now. Now, first off, I just want to let you know there's a lot of confusing information on Medicare if you didn't know that already. Most people, they don't find out about these changes until they get a surprise bill in the mail. But right up front, I just want to let you know that I'm not a Medicare expert and I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing what I've learned from my own research and from talking with retirees who are dealing with this stuff. Because here's the thing, Medicare changes every single year. Premiums go up, deductibles go up, coverage rules change, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to get blindsided. And that is the reason that I'm making this video. It's the stuff that nobody's talking about until it's too late. The changes that are going to affect your monthly budget, your prescriptions, and your access to care in 2026. Now, I want to walk you through these 9 changes. So let's go for a walk on the beach. I'm talking about the normal, the average, the everyday retirees who thought Medicare was all figured out. It's not that they didn't enroll or didn't choose a plan, but it's the annual changes that sneak up on them. It's the new rules that nobody explained, and it's the costs that keep climbing year after year. So here are the 9 big Medicare changes for 2026 in descending order. Look, these aren't minor tweaks to Medicare, right? These are major changes that affect 4 critical areas of your retirement: your monthly cash flow, your access to care, your out-of-pocket risk, and your plan choice flexibility. And here's what worries me. Most retirees have no idea these changes are coming. They're not reading the fine print in their Medicare notices. They're not comparing plans during open enrollment. They're just assuming everything stays the same. But everything doesn't stay the same. Medicare changes every year, and 2026 has some of the biggest shifts we've seen. So if you're on Medicare and you're not paying attention, you could end up paying hundreds or even thousands more this year without realizing why. Or you could lose coverage for services you've been using, or your plan could get canceled and you're scrambling to find a new one. So the advice here is simple. You've got to stay informed. You've got to read those notices. You've got to review your coverage every year during open enrollment, because ignorance is expensive when it comes to Medicare. Is any of this helpful so far? Give me a thumbs up. All right. So let's talk about what all these 2026 changes actually mean for your monthly budget, because when premiums go up and deductibles go up and out-of-pocket caps shift, it all adds up fast. You might be looking at $50, $100, even $200 less in your pocket every month compared to last year. And for retirees living on a fixed income, that's real money. Let's say your Medicare Part B premium goes up $10 a month and your Part D deductible goes up $75 for the year, and your drug copays increase a little bit. That doesn't sound like much, right? But now you're spending an extra $200 to $300 a year minimum. And if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan that got restructured, you might be facing even bigger changes: higher copays for doctor visits, different prescription formularies, new prior authorization requirements. And here's the brutal part. Many retirees, they got a cost of living adjustment to their Social Security in 2026, maybe 2.5% or 3%. But if your Medicare premiums eat up half of that increase, you're not actually getting ahead. You're treading water at best. So the advice that struggling retirees give is this: budget for Medicare to get more expensive every single year. Don't assume your costs will stay flat. Build in increases so you're not caught off guard when that deductible hits or that premium goes up. Now, Medicare's open enrollment period runs from October 15th to December 7th every year, and this is your window to make changes to your coverage. You can switch from original Medicare to Medicare Advantage, or vice versa. You can change your Part D prescription drug plan. You can shop around for better rates or better coverage. But here's the thing: most people don't do anything during open enrollment. They just stick with whatever plan they had last year, and that's a massive mistake, especially in 2026 with all these changes happening, because your plan from 2025 might not even exist anymore, or the premiums might have doubled, or your prescriptions might not be covered the same way. I mean, if you're not reviewing your options every single year, you're leaving money on the table. You could be overpaying for coverage you don't need, or underpaying and getting hit with huge out-of-pocket costs. So the advice here is treat open enrollment like an annual checkup for your Medicare coverage. Compare plans. Look at your actual prescriptions and see which Part D plan covers them the cheapest. Check if your doctors are still in network. See if a different plan saves you money, because the right plan in 2025 might be the wrong plan in 2026. Things change. And if you're not actively managing your Medicare, it's going to cost you. All right, this is a big one. Some major insurance companies are scaling back or completely dropping their Medicare Advantage plans in certain areas for 2026. That means millions of retirees who've been relying on these plans, they're getting letters saying, sorry, your plan is no longer available in your area. And now you've got to scramble to find new coverage. And here's why this matters. Medicare Advantage plans bundle everything together: your hospital coverage, your doctor visits, your prescriptions, sometimes dental and vision. So if your plan disappears, you're not just losing one thing, you're losing your entire coverage structure, and you've got to rebuild it from scratch. Do you go back to original Medicare and add a Medigap plan and a Part D plan? Do you shop for a different Medicare Advantage plan? It's a huge headache. And even if your plan doesn't get canceled, many Medicare Advantage plans are raising premiums, increasing copays, narrowing their networks, or adding more prior authorization requirements for 2026. So your plan might still exist, but it might be way more expensive or way less convenient than it was last year. The advice here is don't assume your Medicare Advantage plan is stable. Check every year, read those notices, and if your plan is getting worse or disappearing, start shopping during open enrollment before you're stuck with no options. Now, this one's going to frustrate a lot of people. Medicare is rolling out prior authorization requirements in several states, including Texas, Arizona, Ohio, and others, for certain medical services. What that means is even if Medicare technically covers a procedure or a test or a piece of equipment, you now have to get approval first before Medicare will pay for it. And here's why that's a problem. Prior authorizations slow everything down. Your doctor orders an MRI or a specialist visit, and instead of just scheduling it, now you've got to wait for Medicare to review it and approve it, and that can take days or even weeks. And in the meantime, you're in pain or you're worried or your condition's getting worse. I mean, prior authorizations are supposed to reduce unnecessary care, but what they actually do is create bureaucratic delays and headaches for patients who need treatment. So, if you live in one of these pilot program states, just be aware. Getting care in 2026 might be slower and more complicated than it was before. You might have to fight for approvals. You might have to appeal denials. It's frustrating, but it's the reality. The advice here is work closely with your doctor's office, because they're the ones who have to submit the prior authorization requests. And if something gets denied, appeal it immediately. Don't just accept a denial. Fight for the care you need. All right, here's some good news mixed with the bad. In 2026, adult vaccines that are recommended by the CDC, like shingles, pneumonia, flu shots, those remain free under Medicare Part D with no cost sharing. You don't pay a copay, you don't pay a deductible, you just get the vaccine. And insulin costs are still capped at $35 a month, which is huge for diabetics who were paying hundreds of dollars a month before. But here's the catch. While some drug costs are capped or free, other prescription costs are going up. Your Part D deductible is increasing for 2026. Your copays might be higher depending on your plan. And even though there's an annual cap on out-of-pocket prescription costs, that cap is rising too. So you're getting some protections in certain areas, but you're paying more in other areas. The advice here is review your prescriptions and see how the 2026 changes affect you specifically. If you're on insulin, great, you're protected. If you need vaccines, great, they're free. But if you're on expensive specialty drugs or brand name medications, check your plan's formulary and see what tier your drugs are in because your costs could go up significantly depending on what you're taking. Now, this is a huge change. Medicare is starting to cover certain GLP-1 weight loss medications like Ozempic or Wegovy, even if they're prescribed specifically for weight loss, not just for diabetes. This is a major shift in benefits because these drugs cost $1,000 a month or more out of pocket, but now Medicare will cover them with a set copay. Now, why does this matter? Because obesity is linked to all kinds of health problems: heart disease, diabetes, joint issues, sleep apnea. So if these medications can help retirees lose weight and avoid those complications, that's a big deal. But here's the flip side. Adding coverage for expensive weight loss drugs could also drive up premiums for everyone because Medicare has to pay for it somehow. And not every plan is going to cover these drugs the same way. Some Medicare Advantage plans might cover them, some might not. Some Part D plans might require prior authorization or step therapy, where you have to try cheaper options first. So the advice here is if you're interested in these medications, check with your plan to see if they're covered and what the cost sharing looks like. Because this could be a game changer for some retirees, but it's not automatic coverage across the board. All right, let's talk about Part D prescription drug coverage because there are some major changes happening in 2026. The annual out-of-pocket cap on prescriptions is rising to around $2,100. That's the maximum you'll pay out of pocket for drugs in a year. Now, on one hand, that's good. It protects you from catastrophic drug costs. But on the other hand, $2,100 is a lot of money to drop on prescriptions in a single year, especially for retirees on a fixed income. And your Part D deductible is also going up. So before your plan starts covering your prescriptions, you've got to meet that deductible first. And depending on what drugs you take, that deductible could hit you hard in January or February when you're refilling everything after the new year. I mean, if you're on 3 or 4 prescriptions and they're all brand name drugs, you could blow through that deductible in the first month. And here's the advice that retirees give. Shop around during open enrollment and compare Part D plans based on your actual prescriptions. Don't just pick the cheapest plan, pick the plan that covers your specific drugs at the lowest cost. Because a plan with a $20 monthly premium might look great until you realize your prescriptions aren't covered and you're paying $500 a month out of pocket. So run the numbers. Use Medicare's Plan Finder tool. See which plan actually saves you the most money based on what you're taking. And here we are. Number one, the biggest Medicare change for 2026 that's going to hit every single retiree: higher premiums and deductibles. Medicare Part B monthly premiums are going up notably in 2026. We're talking an increase that could eat up a big chunk of the cost of living adjustment that many retirees got from Social Security. Let's say you got a 2.5% COLA on your Social Security, which comes out to maybe $40 or $50 more a month. But then your Medicare Part B premium goes up $10 or $15 a month. Suddenly, half of that increase is gone before you even see it. And that's just Part B. That doesn't include your Part D premium, your Medigap premium if you have one, or your Medicare Advantage premium if you're on one of those plans. And deductibles are going up too. Your Part B deductible for 2026 is higher, which means you're paying more out of pocket before Medicare starts covering your doctor visits and outpatient services. And if you need hospital care, the Part A deductible is climbing as well. So across the board, you're paying more to access the same care you got last year. And here's why this matters so much. Higher premiums mean less money left over each month for everything else: groceries, utilities, gas, entertainment, everything. So even though you're technically getting a raise from Social Security, your actual take-home money might be the same or even less after Medicare takes its cut. The advice here is budget for Medicare costs to increase every year. Don't assume your premiums will stay flat. Build those increases into your retirement plan so you're not caught off guard when January hits and your check is smaller than you expected. So there you have it, the 9 big Medicare changes every retiree must know in 2026. Premiums and deductibles are going up. Prescription costs are shifting with higher caps and deductibles. Weight loss drugs are getting new coverage. Vaccines and insulin costs have protections. Prior authorizations are rolling out in some states. Medicare Advantage plans are getting shaken up. Open enrollment is more critical than ever. The net effect on your budget could be hundreds of dollars a month. And all of this is urgent because these changes affect your cash flow, your care, and your choices. Now, here's the thing, you can't stop Medicare from changing, but you can adapt. You can review your coverage every year. You can compare plans during open enrollment. You can budget for higher costs. You can read those notices instead of throwing them away, and you can make sure you're in the right plan for your health and your budget. That's how you protect yourself from getting blindsided. I hope this video has been helpful. Has any of this made sense to you? Please let me know in the comments. I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch. And if you're on Medicare or about to turn 65, don't wait. Start reviewing your options now so you're ready when these changes hit.